not a purple guy. Maybe it's a blue guy. Well, see, I really don't like the purple. Sorry. You're a blue guy? Okay. I'd love to see you just belt out some Tchaikovsky.
I'm working on it.
Oh, you're modern. So now this can add a little depth in the background. But seeing everything is not always seeing everything. So if I was to do that and then this, whoever's at the camera view, does anyone see a problem with this? Thank you. Okay, he just got stabbed through the head with a flag. It's a line. Completely. So that's what I try to have also people is look at your shot and see the shot. Look at who's being stabbed, what's going on between them. A lot of times people will have them sit at a chair railing on the wall, and the chair railing is going right through their head. Well, just bring them out a little further or wherever. That way the chair railing goes behind the shoulders. There are certain rules that you're supposed to do for breaking the body. I don't believe in any of them. I just believe in, like, you're supposed to break between joints of your body. But it doesn't always work. It doesn't always look perfect. If you like it, you did it right. If you don't like it, you did it wrong. If you like it and I hate it, you still did it right. Just because I might know a couple more things than someone else does doesn't mean I know better. It just means however you live it and however you like it, that is perfect for you. So, and I like the way Dick looks. I don't want him to be extremely bright. I don't want him to be, completely flat. I can bring this down a little more. So now we get a little more modeled. And now I'm just going to touch him. That's just a touch of light on the side of his face. Now, I kind of like that a little bit more than what it was before. So now the shadows in his face give him more shape. Yeah. Excuse me? Oh. Thank you. Can we switch?
Yes, we can. Okay, so what I like in lighting.
Can I borrow you?
Oh,
Oh,
I
yeah.
thought you wanted to switch.
Oh, no. It's one thing about me. Can I borrow you? I don't ever get in front of a camera. Well, I am now, so I'm lying. Thank you very much. So now we go from one beauty to the next beauty. Both have their own great qualities, but the hairstyling is a lot different. Does this lighting work for Doris as it did for Dick? Maybe and maybe not. No? Why not?
It's darker.
It's darker. Okay. So because of her hair, the way it falls over her eyes, we have issues with that. So what I want to do is try to drop this light down a little bit more. I want light to come underneath her bangs and fill in her face. No offense to men. We really don't care as much. Okay, when you're lighting a female, pay a lot of attention where the shadows fall, how she is lit, how her face looks, shadows falling across, no shadows being too strong. We want them to look beautiful. Now we have great talent here. So if I was to bring this a little closer, very complimentary to you today. Not that I have to be. Is the light a little strong on you? Okay. Do not. Well, curiosity will be very painful. Every time you tell someone don't look in the light, they have to look into the light because you just told them not to look into the light. Okay, just want to peek in front. Okay, so this one needs a little bit more pop too. Okay. So I might elevate the lighting a little bit for her. And I could bring him and I can keep playing. But she looks a little bit better. The main thing is I want to. Okay. I'm going to flag the bottom of her because above, right below her neck to her chin, I don't want that brighter than her face. So also, I try to treat my imagery as a painting. You always have a main focal point, and that main focal point should be the person's face, not the background, not some, trinket you have on the table, but the person's face. So I think with this, she would look wonderful. I'm going to add a little color. Okay. So now if we take the light and kind of skim it at an angle in a different direction, it went blue on me. Okay. But now we just keep adding different styles. Does that make sense? Her glasses look good? It does. Thank you. I wasn't even looking. So now with the glasses, her rims are the sides are much thicker. So with a hard side light, that shadow from the side of her glasses is going to cut into her eye and create a shadow, and she's losing her eye. So whoever said that, you're seeing while seeing, so thank you very much. That was great. I'm not seeing. Any questions on this? Does this help at all? This is basic. When you're working with panel lights, this fixture has a battery plate on the back, so you can slap a battery on here, and you can get almost a 2-hour runtime with one battery, depending on what size battery you get. Same thing with the other one that has a battery plate on it. So they make AC and DC units on the market, and a lot of these LEDs, like this unit right here, only, I think, draws 30. Oh, I was wrong. This is 100 watt. So if I have a 195 watt-hour battery, and this is 100 watts, of course, I can almost get 2 hours of runtime from that battery. That's at full power. But right now, I'm at 43%. If I go to 100%, that's way blown out. So if I bring it up a little bit here, let's go 50%. Now I can get almost 3 hours or more of runtime on the battery. So
What do you do if you have Dick and daughter in the same picture?
So with that, you would. Would you sit down with her, please? You ask, you shall get. So this is fun. I mean, this is great. Brain dead. I'm trying to think of the TV show from the 70s. The guy and his wife are sitting at the table. Thank you very much. I don't know why I'm blanking on that one. So it even looks like All in the Family almost. Da, 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 da. So with this, I can't get too creative because I want good imagery, but I just want simple, have them both look pretty good. Now, both lights I'm going to angle almost doing the V. Camera, 45-degree angle, one light, one light. Now, the right-hand light becomes Dick's key light and Doris's fill light. Then the left-hand light becomes Doris's key light and Dick's fill light. So they start doing duals. And then with this, I can try to open it up more. I'd have to bring it back. And I might not do an actual backlight, but I might do something like this, turn it up all the way. Also washes it out. There are a lot of pros and cons what I'm doing right now. But you can also just not do any and just turn it off completely. And you have a much stronger, you could do something like this. You just get creative and let anything happen with it. But when you do side by side like this, which is, I'm going to say, rarer, you're going to have them maybe 2 feet apart, 3 feet apart. Chairs are going to be 45-degree angled at each other, not directly at each other. If you ever seen the president get interviewed, the chairs are facing each other. The light is over their heads on both of them. So now there's a key light, hair light, dual. It's multi-function for lighting. We're not going to run around with, again, 8, 10 lights, or sometimes we even have 4. So we try to double duty each light. A light can be your key light and it can be someone else's fill light, or it can be a key light and someone else's hair light, depending on how they are. Just have to have stands that allow that to happen. I wouldn't want you running around with these, because as I lift them up, they're just going to drop on you. But as I lift them up, some stands aren't stable enough for the lighting that you're getting into, and then lights start to fall over. So I have a lot of customers, and I shouldn't say a lot. I have several customers who have 9-foot stands. They're really small, but they want to put a big panel on these light stands. And they're going 8.5 feet up in the air, and the stand's waving. And it's just waving, just fall on someone's head. So the worst thing that can happen, of course, falls on someone's head, knocks them out, and then you have an issue. I know, yeah, you broke your light, but you know, you got a problem. And it's happened. So I really, safety is really important to me. I do a lot of work in high schools with young students, and we don't ever want to see anyone get hurt. Love this stuff because of the heat. I can have this stuff on for 8 to 10 hours and press my face against it. We also live in New England where power isn't always at a premium. So in New Hampshire, as I go north, I've come into places where houses have fuse boxes still, or they have a 60 amp service for the whole building, and we got to really be careful. So this fixture draws 0.7 amps. So we're really drawing very, very low wattage, which helps tremendously. Any questions on this? Because I know we wanted to touch base on green screen. We can talk theory if you wanted to. Yes, sir.
Jonathan, I'm seeing some interesting trends in photographers using blown out backlight. You know,
Yep.
real white really makes the skin look nice if it's lit correctly. How do you deal with your key lights when you've got that blown out backlight? Like if we move the camera over here and use that
Yep.
window as a backlight.
So you're talking about the backlight coming onto their body is much higher.
Yeah, the back, it's off in the background, but it can,
Yeah.
you know, it sort of washes this background out and gives you this nice skin tone because of the kind of the white.
Yeah.
I'm just seeing that in some of the, you know, just sort of a trend in lighting.
It's interesting. It's almost like a high key situation,
Yeah.
but with a high key, your background's 4 times as bright as your foreground, but you're still zooming in really tightly with the camera, and then set all the settings on your camera to a small spot on their cheek, and then back out, and don't let the camera change. Because if you set it on auto, you can't do what you're doing. So it's got to be full manual, full zoom in tight, pick a spot on the skin tones that works really well. If you do it on like you're wearing a dark shirt today, that won't work very well because that'll blow everything out. So try never to work on manual. On auto. Your stuff will look good in studio, but when you're on location, it'll be problematic. But it's a really neat effect. I like high key a lot. You'll see them people just in bright white backgrounds, but they'll. Oh, I'm sorry. People will have. I thought I hit my microphone. So people will have just a pure bright white background, but you can't get that pure bright white. It's not made. It's a white background, but more of a creamy white. They'll just blast it with light 3 to 4, usually 4 times brighter than their front light, and just let it go. And it looks like they're walking in heaven, or it's an infinity wall. Question?
Is that only available now in the digital age of television? In the old days, you would have been blowing out somebody's transmitter and stuff like that, correct?
It was able to be done in the old days. In the old days, like in the 60s, they were trying to do that. But again, you're using 5Ks, 2Ks, like really high wattage systems, and you need a 400 amp service in your studio, and it gets 100 degrees in there. So it was difficult to do, but again, they would just focus and these all light meters, meter the face, and then just forget everything else.
What about with FCC transmission guidelines? I just wonder that was way out of range, the whites.
That I would not know about. I'm young. I'm in my
I can remember
50s.
days when I used to blow things out like that, and it would end up creating a buzz on the audio channel.
That's interesting. I would never think of that. That's why I need people like you with me when I'm not a big high key person or blow up the background. For me, it's a little bit distracting because people are gravitating their eyes or going to the background because it's so much brighter than the foreground.
But if you're shooting in high def or 4K even, now you've got the ability, like you said, to fix it in post. And if you've got
To a certain extent, you want to be most of it in the camera.
absolutely.
Yeah, I'm not a big. I mean, I believe in fixing it in post. My son's in high school now. He's in the media department, and he comes, "Dad, look what I did." And his instructor is just saying, "Don't worry about it. We'll fix everything on the computer. Don't worry about it." And
I just use the white card for a reference.
yeah, well,
You've got a lot more tools now. But
a
you
lot.
can sort of just bring your levels down.
Yep.
You can even pick areas of the screen and just bring that background level down a little.
Yeah, if you want to spend 30 hours or more.
Well, post production, that's right. If you do it, if it looks good in the camera first, your post production is less afterwards. And I think we all have better things to do than sitting at a computer all day, tweaking and editing. If you do that, unless you let your users do all their editing. Anything else? Yes, sir.
You put me on to this. Do you want to talk about this?
It's a Roscoe panel?
Yeah.
Oh, this is a Roscoe.
Yeah.
Look at that. I won't. Oh, we're not plugged in.
I can put
Okay.
it-
Let's see this for a second.
It's one of my favorite tools.
So you presently use it.
Oh, yes, all the time.
This is a light pad by Roscoe. I can.
Typically, when you have, in many situations, you have a lot of overhead lighting. And you get deep, particularly with speakers. Or maybe you have no lighting at all. Typically, in a dining hall, the lighting will be terrible. And so I take this along, and I light the speaker that sitting on the stand, on the top of the stand.
Oh, so right in front of them.
Right.
Yep. These come in all different sizes. If everyone can see this,
That's a 1x12.
they make them in circles, squares, rectangles. One great thing about this is I could put it on the floor, and I could tap dance on this thing. I could throw it in a puddle. These things are pretty much indestructible. I've made these in 8x8, so big, huge sheets of light, and they were beautiful. This one is just a tungsten unit, I'm assuming, because it looks like a tungsten unit. They make them in daylight or tungsten. I don't know if they make bicolor yet. I haven't seen these in a while, so I'm not sure. How long have you had this? Okay, so this is a newer generation unit. Nice dimmers on it, digitally output. Little tools like this can go a long way. Now, if I'm doing an interview like with Dick, can you hold that? Put that right on the keyboard. There you go. So now I can hide it, and I can fill in his neck a little bit, fill in under his glasses. Can you hand that to Doris? Now in Doris, magic will happen. So now it fills in under her bangs a little bit, depending on how she's doing it. Generally, most TV studios will have a clear patch in their desk for their news anchors, and they'll have one of these built into the desk because everybody on the news team doesn't want chicken neck. They want to have this beautiful, smooth look. Not talking about you, my friend. Yeah. So things like this are wonderful. They're not that expensive. You remember how much this was? Oh, it's that much. Oh, okay. I thought they were much less than that. They have smaller ones. Now, the 1x12, a single person wouldn't really need a 1x12. If you were going to do something like this, you can get away with their 3x6s. I think they make one small in half of the size. But I know they make smaller ones. but we had the little circular ones that people would only use those. And it's just for little highlights. So this can be used anywhere you want. And this is a really nice tool. You could put Velcro on the back and stick it to walls. They use them a lot in car chases where they stick them to the visor in the car, and they use them in motion picture that way. They have a plug that plugs into the cigarette lighter. I'm sorry, don't call it that anymore. The power port, yeah. Okay, I am old.
I'll use this in the right, when we do the right museum, when they show slides, there's no light in the room. And we like to go to the speaker. And so this is the only light on the speaker.
Yep.
If someone is doing a blog, we do a lot of training.
Okay.
If they had something like that, could they look a lot better than just using the light in the room? Or?
Yes. Overhead lighting is going to start creating shadows, like the Rocky Raccoon effect. Our eye sockets everyone has deeper eye sockets, different depth of eye sockets. This is just going to fill them in nicely. You could put it on the table like this, put a little block underneath it, and right below camera view, and that's always going to be a lot better than nothing. So, and you want to make it so they don't look lit. Try to keep everyone natural. The best lighting you could do is make it look like they're not lit at all, I think. What you think is different, that's fine. Any questions on something like this? If you'd like to know more about it, speak to Peter.
Yeah.
He'll tell you where he got it and everything like that. This technology has been around for a long time. Well, I'm sorry, maybe 10 years, which seems like a long time. They come in that case, Peter?
No,
Oh,
this in that case right here.
thank you for showing this to. I appreciate you bringing that. It's a nice little lighting tool. You two can step down if you wish.
Well, Doris and I want you to know that we're available as professional models for any workshop you're going to do.
And you were awesome with it.
And autographs will be during the lunch break.
Gee, thanks a lot.
You're welcome. But you did so well. That is awesome. Any questions on anything? I kind of plowed through it really quickly. Usually I do a couple-hour seminar with lighting. It's usually hands-on grasp of lighting. So I'm just going to sit and talk, get more comfortable. If you have questions or if you want to talk to me independently on a certain project, yes, sir.
Distance for lighting, because I know these are portable. If you have
Yep.
hanging lights, is there a typical 8 feet, 10 feet distance from a light for brightness?
It's an excellent question. Now these have a plexiglass front, so they're not thrusters. This light is a beautiful soft light, which is good for maybe 6, 7 feet, 8 feet at the most. The further away you bring a soft light, the more of a point source it becomes. So picture the sun up above. You have these really nice, strong shadows. Well, the sun is actually a really soft light source because when you get close to it, before you burn out, you look beautiful. Then all of a sudden you're burnt and crispy. But something like this, if you're doing a grid and you have, say, a 12-foot or a 10-foot grid, this light fixture would work really well, but it's just going to flood your studio in a certain realm. And when I do my studio lighting, I talk about realms of lighting, certain areas. You're going to want to have some hard light that cuts through it and hits the person's face. If you like panels like this for a studio or for a distance, they make others that don't have the plexiglass front, but they have chip technology, which have little diffusers on the chips, and those have thrusters. Those can shoot 12 feet, 15 feet or so. So whatever your distance is what light fixture you would choose. But it's difficult to buy so many light fixtures for so many different venues that you may shoot in. You can make this one work for everything you do. Up to, you can make it work 20 feet away, but it's going to be so muted if you really won't notice it. Does that answer what you're? But if most of us when we're doing interviews, our lighting is at least 10 feet or under. And I like the elevation too. So if I can go 7 feet, at least 7 feet in the air, 6.5 feet in the air, it would work well. Anything else? Any chroma key questions? I still have 30 seconds.
Yes and no, but it's like how we had the top light. How to get a good bottom light?
In chroma key?
Yeah, like to fill up that
So the chroma key area, are you using paint or fabric? Okay. How high is the wall? Oh, 8 feet. So if you look at your wall being 8 feet, your fixture has to be 4 feet from the wall. So if it's 4 feet from the wall, your light should be hitting the center or a little bit below the center of the wall, because it's probably a broad source. That way it's lighting the top and lighting the bottom. Is that how you have it set up?
I don't think it's a broad source. I think it's more directional.
Okay. So the proper tools to light a green wall is key if you're going to light it properly. You want a wider, broad source. You want your wall extremely even from edge to edge and top to bottom, which you're trying to achieve. If you're using a harder source, the light won't flow evenly, so you're going to get harsh, not balls of light, but you'll get highs and lows on the wall. So you're having trouble controlling it because of that. Whatever source you're using, get a piece of half-white diffusion and wrap it on the unit if you can. However you can do it, if it has barn doors or whatever it may be. Make that source of light just spread out a lot more, and you'll find the wall evenly lit much better. Then your front light for your talent should fill in the bottom of the wall.
Okay.
You want your green wall to be about 3 stops or 2 stops darker than your foreground. The green wall just has to glow a little bit. If it's really brightly illuminated, you're going to have bounce back. You're going to have people turning green. You'll get strong black lines around people, or some people call it dancing ants, where there's like a squiggly line around the edges of the person, like they're moving, but they're not moving. That's all imbalance or improper ratios on your green wall to your talent. If you're having that issue, if your studio is large enough, make sure your talent is at least 6 feet from your green wall. If at all possible, use fabric, don't use paint.
Can you get closer if you have fabric?
Yes. A fabric will let you get about 3 feet from the curtain, and paint you really want to be about 6 feet. If you can't be, just try to have dimming capabilities on your chroma. If you walk in the studio that Juliet and Andrew have in the corner, you'll have 2 walls of green. Now, people may think that's great. It's a little bit of a hindrance only because the light is going to bounce off to the left green wall, bounce off that wall, and then hit the subjects in the face of them where you really don't want that to happen. So it's all about control. And you'll see that their wall looks pretty good until you get to the edges, and then you can augment it with other lights. But you can also do stand lights, 45-degree angles, just angling at the bottom of the wall, and that may work. But just using the right tool to light your green wall is more imperative than trying to bring in more lights to light, just fill in
Can
spots.
we light it like how we have that on the wall right now, like how light skim across?
Yes.
Okay.
So that way you'd bring them 6 feet away from the wall, and you'd have, like a 45-degree angle, and then make the right fixture point towards the left corner. Then the left fixture point towards the right corner, and they cross, and it more skims the wall. So the apex or the brightest spot is in the center, but as they shoot to the opposite sides of the wall, it evens out the wall. And that would look beautiful. Make sure you have barn doors. Thank you. Make sure you have barn doors, because the barn doors will eliminate that light from hitting the person too much. It may look good, so you can use those lights as your backlights and your chroma wall. Double duty. Don't buy so many pictures. Try to use that. It's all trial and error. Anything else? I don't want to keep everyone from eating.
Well, I was going to say, is there maybe after this a quick session in the studio with some lighting questions?
I'm here all day. But I don't want to take time from anybody else. It's only lighting. Right? Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Woo! I didn't see you walk in.